Well, when I think about the next 3 to 5 years or so, doesn't really matter the time frame. What do you think the next evolution is for? I call it strategy execution. For strategic portfolio management, it doesn't necessarily
Yeah,
matter.
sure. Yeah, I mean, it's a good question, and we're actually quite excited about the future. I mean, in two parts. One, I think strategic execution or strategic portfolio management. I think it's still fairly new in the market. I think it's something that we again see as an opportunity for organizations to improve and be competitive, right? And I think more organizations need to take on strategy execution to be more, to be able to be competitive and to survive in today's never norm world. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for organizations to adapt um, strategy execution. I think I'm really excited about that. I mean, obviously, the low hanging fruit on that question is AI, right? AI, we feel like it's going to be a disruptor in this market in ways that make it easier actually for people to adapt, right? To strategy execution. I think the hard part that we're seeing, I mean, from a product standpoint, is, as you talked about, is connecting all those dots, right, and disciplines between the different groups with different tools, methodologies, and that takes a lot of work up front to try to create that alignment. Where we see AI being able to connect those dots a lot quicker for organizations and be able to communicate strategies and things that they can do to make their company be more successful quicker. And so we see that really just allowing for the adoption of strategy execution, be adaptive quicker and cheaper for organizations. So we're really excited about that going into the future.
Yeah, I like that, especially the first point, right? Because I feel exactly the way you do, right? I think that you and I have been focused on strategic portfolio management, strategy execution for a long time. It hasn't necessarily been mainstream, and I think we're sort of reaching that tipping point where I think it's going to be critical for organizations to develop this muscle, right? To develop this muscle and get better at the intersect of those five processes that I mentioned to make sure that you are building that cohesive operating model that can accelerate and maximize value, right? Because I think there is value being lost here, right?
Yeah.
And it is holding organizations back. And I, as I said in previous episodes, I kind of feel a little bit like the executives either ignoring this fact or just see it as a cost of doing business versus saying, look, like, we need to develop this muscle across the organization to do better faster, right? And once that happens, right, then there's going to be a lot more people doing this and a lot of innovation springing around this, right?
Yeah, I honestly think it's the only way in today's world to really stay up to speed and be competitive. I mean, we used to use a slide where we show like a Woolworth, and then you talk about Amazon, and then you talk about Blockbusters, and you talk about Netflix, and then you talk about Toyota, and you talk about Tesla. And it's like, look, someone's going to surpass you if you're not staying, if you're keeping your eye on the ball. And strategy execution is the absolute way to make sure you're keeping your eye on the ball and you're being able to pivot and move in real time the business and effort. So I think you're right; it's going to become mainstream here in the near future.